top temperature of 11 Celsius. That's it. I'll be back with lunchtime news at 1:30 on BBC One. Do join me then if you can. Bye-bye.
Welcome back. Michael Dobbs worked for Margaret Thatcher and John Major before he decided to turn his hand to writing. He went on to create the character Francis Urquhart in House of Cards, but that was just his first novel.
16 books and several plays later, with a couple of potential Hollywood remakes in the offing. His latest thriller, The Reluctant Hero, is out now. Going to talk to him this morning. Very good morning. How are you?
I'm in great form, thank you very much.
Do you remember fondly House of Cards?
I do. I mean, you know, I was a complete innocent.
Yeah.
And I only wrote the book as a result of a joke, almost, and never expecting to, you know, it to change my life, and it did. And I've spent the last 20 years very happily and very busily writing.
Yeah.
And it's a, if you can make it work for you, it's a wonderful way to raise a family and make a living.
Well, it was very popular on television, wasn't it? Let's have a look now.
If I were captain of the Titanic, which of my senior officers should I be worried about?
Beware of an old man in a hurry. Have you heard that phrase, Mattie?
Lord Bilsborough. But he's Collingridge's closest advisor. Surely he can't still think he could be party leader, not at his age, not from the Lords.
So?
He doesn't want it for himself. He wants to pull the strings. He wants the party leadership for one of his protégés.
You might think that. I couldn't possibly comment.
Michael Samuels.
You might think that.
Lord Bilsborough is setting up Collingridge as an Aunt Sally so that Michael Samuels can take his place when the time comes.
You might think that. I couldn't possibly comment.
And how do you feel about all this?
Oh, I'm just the chief whip, Mattie. My personal feelings are neither here nor there.
Susanna Harker and Ian Richardson there.
The House of Cards. And I just, straight away, I'm thinking, the House of Cards, the whole idea of it falling down. All the papers today. There's the picture of the House of Commons and the whole idea that, you know, it's all splitting open.
It never changes, does it?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, politics has always been controversial. It's not just today that we regard our politicians with a degree of contempt. You go back and you remember those old Hogarth etchings, very famous ones, 200-300 years ago, and still the politicians were regarded as being at the bottom of the pile. So nothing has really changed.
Do you think this scandal over expenses has actually changed the public's view of politicians in a different way?
Oh, I'm sure it has. It's made it very much more personal, and people are accusing individual politicians rather than politicians en masse. Now, actually, I happen to think that some of it's been desperately unfair, but you know, I have to face up to the fact that it's done a great deal of damage to the politicians standing in this country, and so many politicians that I talk to say I've never been so miserable and demotivated about my job. That's why so many of them.
It's a hackneyed phrase, isn't it? The one that you couldn't make this stuff up. But I mean, as a writer, you must be thinking you really couldn't make this stuff up about the duck houses and that stuff. If you'd written it in a fictitious novel, people have said, "Oh, don't be silly."
You take reality and then you water it down just to make it credible, and that's what you have to do in a work of fiction.
What is your political background? I mean, we were mentioning in the introduction links with Margaret Thatcher and John Major. Where did you sort of fit into all that?
Well, I stumbled into a job with the Conservative Party over a drink, in complete ignorance, over a drink in a pub. And I found myself being offered a job at the Conservative Party, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I went along there to see, and I stuck there for 20-odd years, one way or another. I have to say, I never truly enjoyed politics, but I thought that it was very important, and I got a lot out of it. But I never got the real job satisfaction that I get out of writing books. I think temperamentally I'm much better equipped for writing books than I was about taking all the nonsense you get in
The new book, The Reluctant Hero, is out now, and it's an MP is the pivotal character, but an MP with a sort of with history, as they say.
He's not into politics as such. There's not a scene that takes place in the House of Commons, but being a politician, travelling around the world as they do, it enables him to get into all sorts of adventures. And I mean, my website says my ambition is to turn writing into an adventure. And my new hero, Harry Jones, is a man who stumbles into all sorts of adventures. And in here, he stumbles into an adventure in a very atmospheric Central Asia, where he has to make a decision. A man helped save the life of his wife 10, 15 years earlier. He has to make up his mind when he finds this guy's in a condemned cell, how much is he going to give? How many risks is he going to take to repay that debt?
And we were talking about whether there's a possible, it's fantastic to write a book. It must be even more fantastic when you find out that Hollywood might be interested in turning that book into something on the big screen.
This is the third in the Harry Jones series, and they've taken the first Harry Jones, they've commissioned the whole series. They want to make a whole series of films, but they've now got through to writing a fantastic script, a chap called Robert Kamen, who's one of the hottest script writers in Hollywood. We've had a lot of fun doing that. Of course, you see them making changes to your character and to the story, but that doesn't matter too much.
You just have to live with that, do you?
Well, and hope at the end of the day, because you do it for a job, hope at the end of the day the cheque arrives with and you can cash it in sterling.
I'm curious, do you meet MPs now who think, was that me you based Harry on? Do you have those conversations?
Well, it's more about Francis Urquhart, the wicked one.
Oh yes, of course.
Because the only people that I've upset in politics with my writing, by and large, are those MPs who come and say, Francis, he was me, wasn't he really? And I have to say, no, he wasn't. They go away totally crestfallen.
And did you, that line, the famous line, you might think that I couldn't possibly comment, was that your line?
Well, it's a sort of... Andrew Davis, the scriptwriter of House of Cards, says it was my line. I say it was his line, but we both know that actually the man who made it come to life was that extraordinary actor, Ian Richardson, who portrayed FU so beautifully, who's sadly no longer with us.
I didn't realise the initials. Yes, OK. All right, Michael, lovely to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Great pleasure.
Carol's got a last look at the weather for us.
Thank you, Charlie. Well, today we've got a lot of cloud around, some rain which is moving northeastwards, may deposit some snow in the very tops of the Pennines and also the Grampians. And behind that rain band, there will be a hangback of cloud, but there'll also be a fair bit of sunshine and some showers. And some of those showers will be heavy and thundery with some hail, but a lot of us will miss them. And the weekend, mostly dry and cloudy. Have a great weekend, and back to you two.
Thank you very much, Carol. That's it for today. We're here, of course, throughout the weekend with all the latest news.
And join Bill and Sean next week with guests including the actors James Purfoy, Helen Baxendale, James McAvoy and the singer George Benson. Have a good day. Thanks for your company this morning.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.